The cat is out of the bag. The no malarkey special Joe Biden is giving us a treat. Mass amnesty for millions of illegal aliens. The truth is finally out. Hi, I'm Dan Stein, president of FAIR with RJ Hauman, FAIR's Government Relations Director. And you know, it's a really funny thing here. I can count on one hand all these five fingers, a number of articles that the media put out about Joe Biden's immigration positions before this election. Try as we might, FAIR beat down the doors of the media to say, hey guys, you need to pay attention to what's going on here, because if this guy says what he's going to do is in fact what he does, we're talking about blowing the doors off the hinges, basically blowing off the wall, blowing everything off the border. Forget about it. It's like out of control, okay? And already Biden is under pressure. 2.2 million deferred and forced departure, extend TPS to various programs. They're making plans in Guatemala. They're making plans in Honduras. They're making plans in Mexico. They're making plans all over the world to come into this country, pouring by the millions. And you know what? The poor American people did not realize what they were getting with Joe Biden. So here to talk a little bit more about that and how things look in 2021, RJ is going to fill us in. RJ, what's the alignment look like right now in Congress, certainly in the Senate, for immigration policy?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, the election hasn't been decided yet, but winds are certainly blowing in a negative direction for us. Now, again, as you mentioned, immigration wasn't a theme on the campaign. And again, part of that was on both campaigns. Biden's immigration plan is as radical as they come, but it was hidden in a corner of his website. He never mentioned it really at the very few rallies he did. And only one question came up at a debate at the tail end of the campaign, after a lot of people had already made their decision for unrelated reasons other than immigration. But again, right now, Joe Biden doesn't have a mandate. He won't have a friendly Senate, depending on the result coming in Georgia. He will not be able to do a mass amnesty bill for every single illegal alien in the country in his first 100 days. Republicans will not stand for that in the Senate. That is a good thing. They also won't be able to pack the Supreme Court, so they have a friendly environment for activist judges for when they go above and beyond their authority on the immigration front. Republicans are also going to control who gets confirmed, who's going to be head of DHS, who's going to be attorney general, head of ICE, USCIS, CBP. And we'll be engaged that entire time to make sure radicals don't come in. But, you know, again, as you said, they're already greasing the wheels for radical executive action. DACA day one, get rid of the travel ban. You already have people from pro-amnesty organizations like America's Voice, ACLU, Open Borders, immigration law professors as well that are now starting to lead the transition at relevant government agencies. And yeah, again, coyotes, smugglers, people down in Central America are rejoicing. You see people at the Matamoros camp, a lot of frivolous asylum seekers waiting on the other side of the border, beating a Trump effigy. They're cheering. Again, they know an administration's coming in that's going to let them stay.
They're supposedly political asylees. That's the way they behave. I mean, Biden apparently is going to make a complete mockery of the whole concept of the rule of law. I mean, in the end, what you're saying here is that Biden's going to use his phone and his pen. He learned something from Obama, and start enacting these executive orders and these other regulatory changes, no consent of Congress, to simply say, you know what? I'm going to take the oath to uphold the Constitution and the laws of the United States, but I'm just not going to enforce them. And I'm going to turn around. Here we are at a pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. Travel ban is designed partly to protect the American people because of the pandemic, partly because these countries do not properly screen for terrorism. He's going to do that. Is he going to reopen the doors to massive asylum fraud again, where people are going to come in with bogus asylum claims by the hundreds of thousands, you know, and manipulate the system? Is this a time when we have all this unemployment? If you do defer to enforcement departure, you're going to give them all work documents. They're all going to be entering the labor force. What do the American people do to deserve this lack of consideration? Donald Trump's pro-America immigration policy. The no malarkey special, apparently the malarkey is an anti-American policy. How is any of this stuff going to help the average American in this country, RJ?
No, it's ridiculous. His immigration platform, all it does is seek to help people outside of the country, not within it. And I think a lot of voters, especially a lot of Hispanic people down in Texas and Arizona border counties that gravitated towards Trump, were livid about that. Again, why do you only care about people coming here to abuse our system and not the people here at home? And again, cheap foreign labor, Biden wants it to flood into the country. It's simply ridiculous. And, you know, Dan, as far as exit polling from the election that we're going through right now, that we're about to release, there's no mandate, again, for Joe Biden to enact radical immigration policies, to gut a lot of Trump's executive actions and regulations that seek to protect American workers and ensure the integrity of our system. He was elected for a variety of other reasons, things that FAIR doesn't even handle. Okay, if he thinks he can go in and completely gut our system, where in 6 months, if you're here, you won't get deported, you get to stay. I'll give everybody parole in place, basically do a mass amnesty with my pen. If he does that, that's not only bad for the American people, I'll tell them it's bad politically. First-term presidents, there's always a bloodbath in the 2022
That's going to be a
midterms.
disaster in 2022 for Democrats.
Oh, if they did.
If he was elected, but assuming he was elected, on the strength of the pandemic. The pandemic, the fact that he was supposed to be Mr. Responsibility, everybody's in a circle, no mass rallies, or whatever all that nonsense was. And now he's president, or he's still president-elect, whatever he is, he's going to be. And all of a sudden, you know, the only mandate he seems to have is to try to take charge of the pandemic. Now, the pandemic is going to come and go. But you give a mass amnesty to 20 million people, and then all their relatives come pouring in. You take the per country caps off, you take the family preference caps off, you take the annual aggregate total immigration limits off. And as we talked about in these earlier FAIR reports, you can get it online on the Joe Biden plan, 54 million more additional foreign born, and some, frankly, not that far off period of time. This is insane, okay? Organized insanity. No malarkey? No, this is all malarkey. This is crazy. And you know what? Biden needs to explain to the American people what he's doing, what it's going to cost, what the impacts will be on communities. We haven't even talked about his plans on refugee admissions. Donald Trump finally got a handle on an out-of-control, poorly administered refugee program that favored peculiar different groups, frankly. And now Biden's just going to blow the lid off again and give us another 125,000 a year, not consult with local communities about where they're going to be resettled. Incredibly expensive for taxpayers, huge impact on communities, no consultation whatsoever. And you know, the Republicans who remain in the way are ultimately standing between the American people and the total annihilation of a two-party system, which is really what's at stake here. And this is pretty huge. Biden is a transitional president. Is he going to make it 4 years? You think he's going to make it 4 years, RJ?
No, I think he'll probably resign in 6 months to a year. And then Kamala Harris, a very far left, open borders former senator, is going to take over. It's going to be ridiculous.
Kamala Harris opposes ICE. She wants to abolish immigration customs enforcement, eliminate all interior enforcement, all interior criminal alien removal, all that stuff she wants to eliminate. You know, the point is, if Kamala becomes vice president, Kamala becomes, here we go, the president, we will let the Kamala's nose under the tent. And that is not something we can afford to have. You know, I really appreciate you taking the time to join me, RJ. This is just the beginning of what FAIR is going to be talking to you about. We're going to be vigilant. We're going to protect the wall. We're going to protect the accomplishments of the Trump administration. The No Malarkey Special is going to run into a real big battle here at the Federation for American Immigration Reform. And you want to hit the subscribe button to get all of our content, to hear what's going on in the future. RJ and I will be back, and we'll be talking to you later. I'm Dan Stein, and thanks for joining us.